Every season of the hit HBO series of White Lotus, I love this show, has become a pop culture phenomenon. The current season 3 is no different. It does not disappoint. This time around, the action takes place at an extravagant resort in Thailand, where I now want to go. It's all building toward the apparent death of at least one major character, we think. Jason Isaacs plays Timothy Ratliff, the head of a wealthy Southern family. He's on vacation with his wife and his 3 children, as his business life back home seems to be falling apart. Not seems, it's falling apart. In this clip from the upcoming episode, Timothy's daughter, that's Piper, has just revealed her decision to move to a nearby Buddhist monastery, which is very upsetting to her mother.
Why is she so bothered?
I don't think it's just hard for her to get her head around, honey. You know?
Well, it's not like y'all ever raised us to be big Christians.
I was an altar boy, you know? Sung the solo at Christmas service. Whoa, how the rose are blooming from tender stem hath sprung.
Wow.
Woo, Jason Isaacs joins us now. We are so glad you're
Can I
here,
just
Jason.
say, the scenes are not all as action-packed as that.
Oh my God. Because Jason, this dude is falling apart. I honestly don't know if you're going to make it. I've watched it in real time, so I've only seen 4. And I'm wondering what this was like for you, because he clearly has some issues. We didn't know what the issues were. It's starting to come out. What you like about him, what you dislike about him?
Oh, I don't think about what I like about people I play. They just are the people.
They just are.
Having this, it's for other people to judge whether they like them or not. I think what's brilliant about Mike's writing, so many things are brilliant, but he sets out these archetypes. Mike White, who writes and directs the whole thing, is he sets out these archetypes. People arrive at the hotel, and mostly you think, I hate this group of people, I hate these type of people, and then they aren't types of people. Bit by bit, he reveals the different layers of humanity, and then in the end, I don't say what happens in the end, but you start to empathize because you see their essential humanity.
Were you
being set in
familiar
Thailand, the people are stripped back their essential ego. They go there for spiritual enlightenment. They get it in ways they didn't plan.
Were you familiar with the series before you joined?
I was familiar because my wife and children are huge addicts on it.
Were you watching it?
They wouldn't let me in the room because I hadn't started from the beginning when season 2 came on, and season 1. And so when I met or spoke first to Mike and Dave, who produces it, I lied and said I thought it was genius and my favorite series ever. And it turns out when I then binge watched it, it is. So that was all right in retrospect.
So you don't judge the characters that you're playing, but I mean, the viewer is wondering, really, I think, is your character a villain or not? He's in trouble with the law.
Well, if villains come to White Lotus hoping for binary decisions like that about whether people are black or white, they're going to be surprised and thrilled by the quality of the writing, I think.
You call it a Shakespearean tragedy, your character. And, of course, now I'm going through my Rolodex and thinking to myself, which Shakespearean character would you equate your character?
Well, it's just that, Shakespearean tragedies are always about there's a tragic flaw in the character before they get there, and they often have enormous status and power. This guy arrived, he's an oligarch. He's an enormously wealthy scion of privilege and generational wealth where he comes from in Durham, North Carolina. And Mike takes everything away. And who am I if I'm not the things I have and my reputation?
Speaking of Durham, you're doing a fantastic British accent right now. It's really spot on.
Thanks very much.
I know.
Well, the accent has been a controversial thing because a lot of people on the internet are saying, this is the worst, sounds Australian, it's the worst accent I've ever heard. And then people from Durham are going, he sounds like my dad, you idiot.
Oh, you nailed it.
It's a very specific accent.
Well, I was curious how you built it. Obviously, you're from the UK, that's why I was joking about the accent here, but you had to build this Durham accent. Where do you begin to do that?
You listen to people from Durham, you go to a brilliant dialect coach, Liz Himmelstein, who does a lot of the top Hollywood actors, and then you practice it. I'm from England, so you have to understand, when you open your mouth in England, everybody knows not just where you're from, but where you're from socioeconomically and how you're aspiring to be perceived. We are fascists about the minutiae of dialect, so it's a tool we learn to learn to.
You're making news because for last week we got to see a full frontal and it was you.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out
we
how
were
to
all
ask this
talking
without
about
being impolite.
Go ahead.
Was that you or was that a prosthetic?
Well, because we were debating it.
Because we were debating.
A lot of people are debating it. It's all over the internet, and it's interesting because
you didn't answer the question.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the best actress this year was Mikey Madison at the Oscars, and I don't see anybody discussing her vulva, which was on television all the time. No, I'm not talking about Swedish cars, So I think it's interesting that there's a double standard for men, that when women are naked, Margaret Qualley as well in The Substance, nobody would dream of talking to her about her genitalia or her nipples or any of those things. And so it's odd that there's a double standard when it comes to discussing.
But we so rarely.
It's a bit of a dodge.
Yeah, he's still.
It is a dodge because I don't think that people really want to know how the sausage is made.
I kind of
Nice
do.
one.
Is it,
I kind of do.
Is it the same, is the guy who does the prosthetics the same guy who does the ears and the noses?
Who's got fake ears?
Not on the show, but in general. Who's the guy you call?
I genuinely think it would be odd when there are characters in some of the women are naked in here. It'd be odd if they were sitting here and you would never dream of discussing their
It's also
genitalia.
true.
Not for a second.
Can I talk about the casting? I love Patrick Schwarzenegger.
I love Patrick Schwarzenegger.
With the friends.
Like he's my real son.
Do you? I love
Patrick
the
and
kids
Sam
on the show.
and Sarah Catherine. We became a family over 7 months away. We got very close.
Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted. Sorry.
No, but I like the cast on the show and the people that play your kids.
I liked it. Well, we got there and you film with the people you're with and you have the days off with the people you're with. And we became a family very quickly. And what was odd is my own real children arrived.
Yes.
And I suddenly realised when they wanted to hang out with Patrick, Sam and Sarah Catherine that I am actually old enough to be the parents of the people I consider my friends.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think if prosthetics were standard with actresses, we would ask a female
What is your
actor.
obsession? And are you having...
Very obsessed.
It's not only
Are you
obsessed.
having
We've been
therapy?
talking about it all morning.
But what, Mike White is a brilliant writer. It's the best series on television for a long time.
God.
And
It
what is
is.
the obsession with penises? It's an odd thing.
Because we really get to see him on
I
television.
think we have to read a tease.
Yeah, okay. Jason,
Gayle, you're watching the wrong television, obviously.
Jason, congratulations. I love you on the show. I love what...
And Lucius Malfoy for all the millennials out there. Yay!
Yes.
Lucius Malfoy in the house.
Yes. We welcome you back to CBS Mornings. Unfortunately, we have to skip Talk at the Table. We ran a little long with the senator today.
You having trouble with that shoe, Gayle?
Yeah, I
Here,
know.
let me help you. I'll
Let
be
me
your
put on
prince.
my-
There you go.
Still getting dressed. And so we have to skip Talk at the Table just for today because we do not want to skip Leslie Bibb.
That's right.
Because we
Please
want
don't
to
skip Leslie
Yes,
Bibb.
we do
No.
not want to skip Leslie Bibb, who I said, and Nate agrees, wins for Best Dressed. We'll talk about it a little bit later.
Yeah, fire.
The high drama on season 3 of the smash hit show, The White Lotus. I hope you're watching. This time the action takes place in an extravagant resort in Thailand. I now want to go there. It's building toward the apparent death of at least one character. Our guest, Leslie Bibb, stars as Kate Bohr. She's on vacation with 2 longtime friends that she hasn't seen in years. Now, all 3 say they love each other, but the tensions have been rising between them. In one of Leslie's favorite clips from this season, we see their complicated dynamic in action.
You might say that to everybody. He said the same thing to me.
Did he? Well, he didn't say it to me. He said my numbers are average, so I'm just average, I guess.
I'm sure living in Austin, the food is probably fattier, butter, and
No. There's
steak.
There's healthy food in Austin. I mean, I eat mostly chicken. For protein, I eat chicken. I eat turkey. I like beans. I used to hate beans, but now I eat a lot of beans. One day I just decided to trick my mind into liking beans, and now I do.
We're happy to say that Leslie Bibb is here live and in color. I just have to know, whose suit is that? Nate and I were both like, whose is that?
It's Tom Brown.
And Nate, it has a jacket and an overcoat.
Yes, it does. It does.
I am so smitten.
It's
but
okay.
we're going to talk about you and your work, Leslie Bibb, because I know that they refer to you guys as the blonde blob, all
The
3 of
blonde
you
blob.
together.
Yes, Mike White would call us the blonde blob.
And word on the street is that you were worried that your plot lines would be a little boring compared to the others.
Well, the other ones are pretty dramatic, if
Yes.
you will.
But there's nothing boring about the 3 of these.
That's really
these
good
3.
to hear. But when we were doing it, we were a little bit like, oh, is this going to feel, I don't know, not go as deep. And then Michelle and I were doing a scene one day, and we left, and I was walking away. We had this Aussie dolly gripped named Paul, and Paul came up and he was like, I can't do an Australian accent, but he was like, I love the girls' storyline. It's my favorite. And I remember, I was hearing a man say that he was connecting to that. I was like, oh, maybe we're going to be okay.
Because you say it's unusual to have the 3 of you women because you're...
Only one of us would ever get cast.
Only one of us, yeah.
You know, you
right.
don't have 3 middle-aged women all there would
There's
be
nothing
one.
about them that looks middle-aged or they behave middle-aged either, just saying, but go ahead.
But we are, and so, but it's just, we'd never be cast, and especially 3 blonde women, but I think that's what, I feel like Mike is working with big themes this year. There's spirituality and death, but also doppelgangers and mirrors,
It's juicy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this show is unique because the writing's fantastic, the acting is incredible, but there is this relatability with every audience. You think on the surface, oh, these fancy rich people going to resorts.
Right.
But once you start listening to them, the
They got
connection is there.
issues. The rich
Why
people
is that?
got issues.
Why do you think fans love this show in such a way that creates a connection?
Well, I think one thing, and I don't know how you guys feel, like, I think we become also, I think Mike's writing, first off, is like, I hate to use the word genius, but I do think Mike White is a frickin' genius.
Agree.
He just writes, and he doesn't shy away from confrontational, like,
hard topics.
No,
like
shocking.
And sort of going there, and he's unapologetic about it, and he just sort of is able to sort of pick it up and look at it. But I also think there is something to only getting an episode once a week. I think we have become a society of like swipe, look, 3 seconds, and I think there's something to watch it on Sunday.
And then unpack it.
And savor it.
And wait.
I agree.
Vlad just called it, he said the Monday scaries come in, and then he was like, but we get to talk about the White Lotus, and we get to unpack what it is. And I find it really
So
charming.
true.
People stop me and they're like, here's my theory. I think this. And I was like, okay, let's go.
Are we allowed to talk about Sunday's episode? We must, because your partner was involved.
Yeah,
in
my
that.
beloved Sammy was in it.
The most amazing
Sammy.
scene I've seen in a long time.
But again, who writes a scene like that? A
So
monologue
crazy.
like that? Mike White.
It was jaw-dropping. So did you two work together when you first got the role? Because I know you really wanted the part.
Sam
didn't you?
got cast at the last minute. Because
No, but when you were getting it, didn't he work with you?
No, he
Do reads with you?
No, I was in Savannah shooting a Clint Eastwood movie. I got the audition on a Monday, and they're like, "You need to have this in by Friday." I was like, "It's the White Lotus. I'm doing how do I multitask?"
Right.
And I was shooting with Chris Messina, who's Sam's best friend, was in the movie. So Sammy was coming down to see me and Chris Messina, and Sam had also worked with Clint. So I said, I'm going to put you to work. You have to be my reader in the scene. So he read the scene with me, and then Chris Messina taped the audition on his iPhone, and that's what I sent to him. So I feel like I had the best audition tape just because I had Sammy and Chris.
Leslie, what did you think about Sam's scene on Sunday? Was your jaw on the floor?
I have not seen it.
It was so out there.
But I remember when I read all 8, and I remember when I got to this monologue and this scene, and I remember thinking, I'd never seen anything like this on television. And I felt like it was what Mike was really trying to talk about for the show. And like I feel like if the women had just come in and done what Frank did and been like, hey, this is what's happening in my life. I'm having problems in my marriage. I'm drinking too much. I'm doing this. Whatever. They wouldn't be gossiping about each other because they would immediately put the shield down. They would be vulnerable, and he comes in and he's like, "Here's my truth," and he's unapologetic. So
I can't wait to see what happens.
Thank you so much for coming.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Fabulous. The new episodes of The White Lotus season 3 debut weekly on Sundays on HBO
And I'm
and
calling
Max.
Tom Brown.